like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Make sure that everybody has signed the. At this time, I'll call on Oscar. You want to call on the principal to, I guess, give us a welcome or say a few words?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Barbosa. We're here today to tour the new wing here at Bettis Elementary School. It's classrooms for PK and K, so you won't see a gang restrooms in the hallway. The restrooms are actually in the classrooms. That's the difference between PK kinder versus the older grades. And it also has a new library. We're going to be taking an agenda item to the next school board meeting to accept this wing is substantially complete. So that's why we wanted to meet here today, because when the chairman, co-chair addresses the board in their conference presentation, monthly report to the board, he can also recommend that the bond committee seen the building, they feel comfortable with it, where they think it's ready to accept it. And the principal can start moving in furniture and open it up to the kids at his discretion. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Martinez, Ruben Martinez, the principal of Bettis Elementary. He can say a few introductory words, and then you can ask him questions if you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. Tapia. I'd also like to introduce my assistant principal, Hector Garcia. He's a very helpful young man in helping me run this school. But I'd like to welcome the committee here. I appreciate all the work that you've done for the district in overseeing the bond issues and the construction projects. But I thank you for your dedication and your time and effort that you put into these projects. Also, I'd like to thank Mr. Tapia and his facilities department for keeping me informed and allowing me for some input during the beginning phase of this project. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Martinez Espinosa. I've worked with him a few times here, but he's been a good man, and I appreciate, Mr. Tapia, your department's professionalism and allowing us to work with you on this project. And I'd also like to thank the construction company. I believe it's Wilson Construction.
That's correct.
They've been very helpful. They've kept me informed, and they've given us the opportunity to let them know when we need to have some peace and quiet during state tax testing. So I thank everyone here. I also like to welcome everyone here to Bettis Elementary. And at this time, I turn it over to you, Mr. Tapia.
I'd also like to acknowledge our project architect is here too, Hector Garcia of Garcia Mata Villarreal Architects.
Welcome to Bettis Elementary.
Is there any questions this committee has for the principal or for anyone?
I guess we have any questions, anything that you want to ask?
If not at this time, we can recess and do a quick tour.
We'll go into a recess where we'll do the tour, and then once we're finished, we'll come back and reconvene for the continuation of the meeting. Then I'd like to reconvene, and at this time, I'd like to be able to take a moment of silence for Mrs. Poland that passed away a couple of weeks ago after she visited her new school that was named after her, and at least she was able to see the school itself. So I'd like to take a few moments in her passing away. Thank you very much. Mr. Tapia, you would presentation and update of the bond projects.
Okay, can you hear me? We'll go ahead and get started with the bond presentation on all the projects that we have here, and we'll start off with the high school. High school's coming on very nicely on schedule. I know we can dim those lights. Is there any lights that we can dim? Yeah, that helps.
Sure, but before we start, is there any way that we can start recommending the things that we saw on here? Maybe just a recommendation just for the media, so they will be able to do something about it, you know, things about the pole that's here that's getting corroded. Maybe we can have it in the media, and maybe we can have some kind of a subcommittee or something to get that pole out of there. And maybe some of the fence that was not the right place, we can recommend some of the things too that needs to be done. Anybody else have anything, recommendations?
Can we do that under maybe new business? Or do you want to fall that under the presentation?
That's fine, we can discuss it now or under new business, but when we came back
Okay.
from the
well-
tour, we should have dealt with it.
Well, why don't we go ahead and make, if anybody has any recommendations or any thoughts that need to be brought out on our tour that we did right now, so that we can be able to get the school going, and any help that we may have or maintenance may be able to assist for the preparation of the coming of the opening of the wings that's coming up.
So,
Any-
also, I have a comment.
Well, why don't you let Mr., I think Mr. Pettit, you want to say something
Yes,
first?
the pole that we have here behind the new one here, we need to find a solution to get it removed. To get it removed or to get it relocated out of there, because a pole that will corrode will cause a problem to the kids, for the safety of our kids. So we need that pole to be removed out of there, and we need to do something about it immediately before everything, you know, anything starts. The rain can cause that. There was a case in Houston that happened. I'm telling you about this. There's another case in Arkansas that happened, something like it with a pole that where there's drainage and water's going through, is corroding the bottom of the pole. So we need to, to really remove that pole out of there.
Yeah, we'll contact PUB to
Okay.
actually probably move it further into the site. I don't want to take the floodlight away from the school for the security purpose. So we'll have that pole relocated further in a more secure area.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Gonzalez?
I just want to make a quick comment about the actual wing to everybody who hopefully watches the meeting, and to our taxpayers most of all. Of all the wings we've toured, me personally, I want to relate to them the quality of work that I've seen. Frankly, I've been very impressed. The classrooms, the material, the work, the different architectural add-ons that we've had here in the example of the library, the green areas that they've implemented so that it could be more of a nice area for children to get together and read and promote reading. I just want to relate to our viewers that as a committee member, I'm very happy and very pleased at the quality of work, and I think that the money that's being spent is being spent well, touring especially this particular wing. Also, on a second note, for the record, Mr. Tapia, I'd like to go ahead and see if there's possibly any way, and we need to find a way to get that awning done. I'd like to see that awning done at the main entrance. I don't think it'll be too expensive. I'm sure we can find the money once we get a chance to move some money around, and maybe that's something we can prioritize, because especially we have pre-K and kindergarten children coming in through there. It's a small area, and I think it'd be money well spent if we can redirect some money there.
We'll
Thank you.
get with the architect to give the contractor a drawing, a little sketch, what kind of materials we're going to design so the contractor can know how to price it. Hopefully by our next meeting, I'll bring that to you in the form of a change order.
Anybody else? And
Just, I'm pleased with the building. Just thank everyone for being here, with their effort into making this building a reality. Thank you.
And I think, Oscar, one of the things also that Dr. Garcia had brought up, to be able to, the flooding of the water that's going into the parking area. I know that you mentioned that they're probably gonna put a new blacktop on the area, that they'll probably be able to elevate it to check it, but just to make sure that the flow of the water that does go out into the drain correctly, so that we can have additional space for the children here in that area.
Yes, we'll address that with the maintenance department to come out here and look at it and see what they can do. I'm sure they can, Mr. Martinez I'd also like to thank Mr. Martinez for being very patient, because if you remember this wing, this is the wing that last season got caught in that 3.5 months of rain, hurricane and all that, and they had already made the hole, and it just kept raining. It was a big swimming pool. They had to keep pumping it out, and they dry it out, and then it would rain again. And Mr. Martinez had to be very patient. When are they ever going to finish my wing? Never even getting off the ground. Normally I would expect a lot of calls, but he didn't call that much and complain that much. He was very patient, so I'd like to thank him and his staff.
I field a lot of questions from my teachers.
But we're finally here. It's a reality. We're in the building, and I think it's going to be great for the kids and for the teachers. Nothing else. We'll move on to the high school project. They've already started paving the parking lot. You see some of those islands are where they're going to have some landscape trees. They got the light poles. This is that interior courtyard. There's some shaded areas, trellises, there's brick pavers, a nice water fountain feature in the middle, palm trees. Here's another view of the courtyard. And a third view of the courtyard with the security lights and the trees, planters inside the area. That's a view of the dining hall. This area here is the 5 serving lines that we have that really expedites the serving of the kids. Within 15 minutes, 18 minutes, they can serve a whole lunch period. Get all the kids with their trays and get them out to eat. So it's not discouraging to wait in long lines to get your food. The hallways, the main center area it's got ceramic tiles, and then once it gets to the classroom pods, you go into your VCT flooring and your colored hallways. They already got drop ceiling, they got the lights. Very advanced stage. Again, they're about 3-4 months ahead of schedule. The main central area with the Italian ceramic tile that they have. And those of you that toured the school last time got to see some of that. The nurse's office already has millwork cabinets. The main 2-story space as you walk into the school has already some decorative panels on the top with some light fixtures on the sides that shine upward and really illuminate the space really nice, especially in the evenings. That's the entrance to the office area with the countertop with a little handicapped surface on the side. The auditorium, that's a frame that's going to hold some very nice special panels that go on the side. And it's already, in one section, they've already completed some of the like wood panels. Very nice with the burnished stone underneath. And you can see the slanted floor where the carpet's going to go, where the seats, the auditorium seating will be placed. The gymnasium floors, they got installed, they got sanded, and there was this first section of the stain, the color and the stain on the finished floor of the gym. Those are the restrooms for the gym and the entrance and where the concession stands are. This is the boys' restroom. It's pretty much done. The athletic locker rooms, you already have the cages separating the football areas from the P areas, varsity, junior varsity, freshmen. Everybody's got their space. That's another area for, I believe this is a freshman, athletes. So overall, on the architects here, all the payments we've made from back since May of 2007, the first payment, down to last month, the architect fee was $2.7 million. We paid $2.602. The balance of $87,000. So that's 90. I'd say 99, 98% complete. We're just charging the last few months of the construction observation phase. Contractor, $59 million. We paid him. I think it went to the next page. Oh, here it is. $49 million. There's $9 million pending. A lot of that is a 5% retainage. So they're actually a little bit more than that, 83, 85%. I'm also going to go over under the change orders. The board did receive and they reviewed the change order to add the athletic fields. We didn't know what we were going to do. Mr. Flores presented some financial information that he'll present at the end of how we're going to fund it, where we're going to get the money. And with the presentation he made last time with using the money from the interest earned from the previous bond, the $100 million bond program, and then from this bond, there were sufficient funds in there to pay for the athletic buildings. So change order was presented to the board at the last meeting, and the board agreed to award it to add the football field, track, scoreboard, concession stand, all the drainage, the fields, irrigation systems, and a change order that we'll go over here in a little while when we get to that point. So the reason I mention that is that this 59 million is going to go up by 2.4 something million because of that change. We'll go over that in detail. Keller and Manzano schools, the two schools on one side are progressing. That's the entrance to Keller Elementary. And these are the canopies that we talked about that will change from the aluminum to the galvanized. They serve the same purpose, and we got a big credit back on these. That was presented at a previous meeting. All the brickwork on the exterior is done. They're working on the roof, drying it in, so if it rains, it doesn't rain inside the building anymore. There's a few sections where water still comes in, some penetrations, but for the most part, they're almost done with the roof. The parking lots, they're starting to do the prime tack, the oil tack on the caliche. You have the concrete curbs, and they're getting ready to pave the parking lot. The interior library, they're starting doing some interior painting on the library walls, drop ceiling, all the mechanical systems in, the grid, and there's a nice high kiosk and focal point in the library that, if you've been to Ben Bright Elementary, looks exactly like this one. And that's another view of that focus piece in the middle of the library. Inside the library, looking out towards the entrance of the school, you have nice big window areas. And they're already installing some of the millwork on the low area. This is an elementary school, so they have a lot of low shelves. The kitchen has a dining kitchen area, already has some tile work. We've got some paint on the walls, drop ceiling, mechanical ducts in. They also have the millwork, cabinet work in some of the office areas. The terrazzo floor has been poured, it's being polished. The main corridors have terrazzo floor, and when you get into the classroom pods, they have VCT flooring. The middle school is coming along. It's not as advanced as the elementary. They're trying to put more effort in the elementary to try to finish it by mid-year, and this school's projected to open up next fall. So they have almost another 11 months, 10 and a half, 11 months to finish, so they got plenty of time to finish the school. Again, a lot of the drives are already being done. And the insulation boards on the outside, they've already started doing some brickwork, you can see down at the bottom, starting to close the building. There's the entry canopy. The high area is the mezzanine area where a lot of the mechanical equipment is housed. The backside already has a lot of brickwork. The interior, I believe this is the mini gym. The high ceilings. Metal stud walls on the interior. A lot of the divisions, they haven't gotten to the sheetrock phase yet because the roof's not done, so water will come in. The dining hall entrance. This is the library area. Counter. This is the kitchen area, right? Serving areas. So it's going to have similar serving lines like the high schools.
Oscar, that's a new style they're implementing in the high school and the middle school?
Yes. The food service department is going to this new concept because some of the schools are so overcrowded, they have lunch periods, and they can't serve the kids fast enough. They line up quick, and some of the studies have shown that the numbers of kids that eat lower. Some kids just don't eat, or they try to go off campus because the lines are too long. And ever since they did limit these new serving lines to get served quicker, their numbers are up, people who are eating at the cafeterias.
That's good.
Again, work on the middle school. So overall, the two projects, the architect on the elementary, 446,000 fees. We paid them 312. They got a balance of 138,000. So we paid them about 70% of their architectural fees. On the middle school, KVK's fee is 1.2 million. He's paid what's that? 993. Got a balance of 201,000. The contractor is 31.5 million for both schools. We paid them just under 20 million. They got the balance of 12 million left. They're about 61% complete for both schools. This is the project that we've been having some problems with the plans, the designs, things like that. We did have a big meeting on this, and the architect has been able to answer some of the questions. I've given them some revised drawings. So it's helped kick off the electrical work to start up again, mechanical work. They're starting to work more. They're starting to work faster, but the contractor's concerned that his schedule's been impacted because of these delays. And there's been some talk about finishing in maybe January, February. But we're going to have a facilities committee meeting next Tuesday with the Board of Trustees to discuss some of these projects and this item's on the agenda. We're going to have the architect there, the contractor, and we're telling them we need to have a schedule. You can tell the board when you're going to finish this project. And there's going to be some issues come up, some debates, because the contractor's going to try to say, well, you know, if you're late, you're going to get penalized by contract. They're going to try to say, well, but we're held up because of the mistake of the architect. The architect's probably going to try to say, hey, well, we try to give them everything we wanted to give them. They chose not to move on certain things because they wanted this and that in writing, or they didn't give us the prices. We're going back and forth. We'll get some more solid answers next Tuesday. A lot of the change orders that we had looked at that were close to $450,000 down to about $150,000. And there's still some areas where we could cut down even more. And the architect, remember the change order I presented that they were going to take 10%. They left it at 15%. We do the board, so the board really try to get a little more participation from the architect. So we'll see what they present next Tuesday. And then at the next meeting, we'll also present that information here. And we'll try to invite the architect and contractor to kind of repeat what they tell the board here to this week. We're very concerned that we want to open up that store this year. There's some debate as to whether we can make that schedule. So I'll be bringing you more information on that project. But if they get together and coordinate and resolve the last few pending items that are pending, or that there's some controversy on, we still feel confident they can finish this, if not the last week of November, the first week of December. But the final decisions on what's pending needs to be made, like by next week. Everything needs to be finalized. Final scope of work, what's going to be changed, final prices needs to be settled by next week to meet that schedule. So that's what we're working for, and we're bringing it to a head with the Board of Trustees, bringing everybody together. So I'll keep you posted on that project. Mini Pullum opened up first day of class. It was quite an ordeal, quite an effort to get this project going, but it opened up, and the first week went without a glitch. There was maybe 2 or 3 classrooms that were a little warm, and the contractor was there, adjusted the temperatures, fixed the problems. Other than that, we have not had any complaints. We did put up the extra fencing that some of you requested. We got a change order. We installed the fencing. Butch was there, Dr. Deli, and Dr. Garcia. They saw the fences going up. We got a price for the additional outdoor asphalt area next to the mini gym with the basketball goals. Got a very good price on it, which is identical to another elementary, Benny Elementary, that the same contractor is doing. So we knew exactly what price the other one cost. We want the same price on this one, and the same sizing, same spec. So it was a very fair price, and we told them, do it. We had money in the project, and it was done by the first day of school. So it worked out very well. There's all your handicap signs, your parking, landscaping, handicap ramps, the connecting canopy on the outside the dining area. The only issue here is that from this canopy to the dining hall, there's not another little connecting piece. Thus, that's something that we're still gonna try to work out on that one, see if we can get a little price to make that just about a 12-foot piece, but if it's raining, you leave it, open the door, you're gonna get wet and run to the canopy. That's just an oversight with the design on it, something we're gonna address as well. The dining hall was completely finished, the kids ate there the very first day of school, food service worked out of the kitchen. The only thing they didn't have was a cooler for the milk, but they brought a temporary cooler from another school. It was there at work, and everything else. Can't believe, I didn't think they'd make the kitchen. They were gonna have to set up a temporary serving line, right outside the kitchen doors. But they pulled out a miracle and called the health department late Friday and got their permits, and they served the first day of class, so very good job. Classrooms were nice and clean, they were waxed, everything was, no blue tape.
It's a good say.
The workroom, this is a little workroom for the teachers. The library already set up with the furniture. You remember we met in there, the last meeting we had, we met in there, and it was pretty much like this, just a little bigger and open area. They got furniture in there, they got 11,600 books that came in. And straight from the boxes, they were already pre-labeled, they knew where they went, they took it straight out of the box, straight to the shelves, everything was pre-labeled, very, very well organized. We were very impressed with that. The classrooms, very well decorated. The little kids, it was just really, really nice. First day of school, you can see the kids, they smiled, they're excited to be in school. I don't know what school they were at before, but I'm sure they love their new school. Another example of how the teachers were decorating their rooms. They worked through the weekend to finish decorating their rooms so they can be ready for the first day of school.
They already got their projectors in and everything, right, Oscar?
Yes, they have projectors were installed. And there's the asphalt area I told you about with stripes, the basketball goals. The ends are 10 feet and the sides are 8 feet for the little kids. There's your mini gym with all the connecting canopies.
Mr. Tapia, did you experience any problems with the rain we had this past 2 days in the school?
No, I know a lot of
That was a good time to
had
test.
a lot of rain, for example, here. But at that particular school, they got very little to no rain. It was just one of the areas that just didn't get much water. And if you look at the grounds, it was just a little bit of if you go today, it's dry. So that was not an issue there. The mini gym, they already got their logo, that's their cardinal, they call it the Big Red. They're very excited about their logo and their mini gym that has restrooms, that storage room, and the coach's office. The coach's office is their position. That's the entry with the terrazzo floor. That's the entrance to the office area. There's another big red logo as you walk in. Just to the left, behind this brick wall, is the trophy case. No trophies yet, but hopefully they'll have some soon. This project on the architect fee was hardly $650,000. We paid $634. It's like $20,000 left. So they're 99% complete. All they're doing is final punch list, bringing all the closeout documents, warranties, manuals. We're scheduling some training with maintenance people. How do you bore all the water cutoffs off in case of an emergency? The controls on the air conditioning system, how to work the fire alarm panel, the keypad, all that stuff. There's very few things pending. That's the procedural. The contractor was just under $12 million. We paid him about 11. There's $1 million left. A lot of that retainage. And you'll see that we don't have to pay for it. Yes, sir.
I know it's very, very beautiful campus, and I know we were working on the canopy, especially for the bus. And you were gonna get a proposal. Did you get the proposal so we can extend it, especially at that campus?
The architect has given a drawing to the contractor, and we're waiting for them to give us a price.
There's enough money on that bond side.
There's about 54,000 left.
Okay, so that should be more than enough.
It is, but let me go back to something that we also need to do. And we're going to get a price on, and we hope we can afford both. But the landscaping allowance wasn't enough to get the landscaping for the entire school. We had to cut down a little bit, some. But this area here and that area very hard when you have maybe 3 custodians at one elementary, maybe 4, and they get too busy to do it, so they want maintenance to go maintain the yard. Sometimes they say, no, well, you can do that small area. No, we can. Next thing you know, there's weeds because nobody wants to do it. So we're going to get a price, the sprinkler system ends just around this building, to run the sprinkler system in here, in that area, so that it's all sprinklered, and so nobody has to spend time setting up sprinklers, hoses, and things like that. So we're hoping to get a price on that and the canopy. And if we can afford both, we'll try to do both. If we can only do one, we can do sprinkler system and a smaller canopy. But if we can afford it, we can do a larger canopy. So that, we're waiting for the price and then we have to got that.
Mr. Tapia, at our at our schools, the new schools or the wings in general, and here at Pullum, is there any type of feedback system that's been set up to get feedback from the teachers on any issues that need to be corrected? Because now that we have a lot of eyes, maybe they can pick up things that need to be fixed before we turn over that retainage.
Well, on that particular school, as a teacher used the building the first week, we met with the principal and my staff, my team, I work with the principal, that if the teachers noticed anything like a plug that wasn't working or something that fell or a drop ceiling had a crack or one of the light fixtures bolt didn't work, let us know. Send us a little email, we would add it to our punch list to give to the architect to make sure all those things get fixed. So once you start using a building, teachers are using things, something doesn't work, they'll tell you. I know we found one area under one of the sinks that had a wet spot underneath the tile rub, and we checked it, and there was a small leak, and we wouldn't have caught it, we would have rotted the wood underneath the cover panel. So there were little things that were catching us with those things.
How long do we keep the money before we actually, that retainage fee, how long do we keep that before?
When we accept the building is substantially complete, we'll release most of the retainage, except whatever's on your punch list. The architect will say, well, the punch list says we think there's around $30,000-$40,000 worth of things. So let's say the retainage is $150,000, we'll release all the money except for $20,000, $30,000, enough to cover the pending punch list. So if the contractor doesn't come back and finish the punch list items, we can keep that money, hire someone to do it ourselves within the district. But as they're doing their punch list, if they did half of them, we'll release half of that until there's one scratch in the wall and a little broken pane. We're going to hold $5,000. We don't come back, we'll fix it and keep the rest. So that's how that process is.
What happens?
The contractors want their money, so they come out and finish.
What happens in the case, like you mentioned, that school didn't get a lot of rain? What happens in the case? I mean, it's actually very possible that, especially the way it's dry right now, that we don't get any rain for 8 months in that particular area. And 8 months from now, we get this really big storm, and we have water leaks and issues like that.
We had a rain the week before, that week and a half before the school opened. There was not one reported leak, but that certainly happens. About 5-6 years ago, we went through a period of 2 years that we had like one rain. We had done some new roofing projects. So we went a whole year, the contractor's 1-year installation warranty expired. And all of a sudden, we had a big rain, and we had like 10, 12 little leaks in the middle school. And we called the contractor and said, well, I'm past my warranty. Yeah, but we didn't have rain for almost 2 years. And they were good about it. They went back and they fixed them. So that will happen at this point. Yes, sir.
Mr. Tapia, just noticing there are minor details you were pointing out that were left out. Those sprinkler systems, the putting in of shrubbery and whatnot. Why did they actually miss it, or they just didn't consider it, or what?
We had it in the original plans. They were there. On the landscaping, they said an allowance of 100, 50,000, 200,000, depending on if it's a big middle school. And when the original plans, that this very ambitious landscape plan, and the pricing came in at $200,000, $300,000, almost $400,000 for mini pool. And the landscape allowance was $150,000, $175,000. We can't afford that, guys. They had sprinkler systems out of the retention pond too, everywhere. And so we need to revise this that will fit our budget.
Can you ask for a rebid on it? Because,
The contractor, because it is an allowance, he gets 3 bids from 3 different landscape contractors. And then they show us the low bid, and and the original one, and then the revised bid of once we took out certain things. But it was also kind of a struggle with the city, because the city says, yeah, but you also need the landscape workers, so if you take out too much, we're not gonna sign off on your CO because you're not compliant with the landscape ordinance. So we have to be creative of what to keep, what not to keep, and still need the landscape ordinance. So it was just a matter of exceeding our landscape allowance. Now, again, if we have 54,000 left, we got an issue of adding another extra canopy and maybe another sprinkler system. So I don't know if we'll have enough money to say, now let's go do some additional landscaping. But I think once we put the sprinkler in there, the contract did have seeding for the seeds. And once the grass grows, some Bermuda grass, they cut it, it'll be pretty much done, the whole school.
Thank you.
Egley Elementary, very similar to this building. Just so you remember, the natural color stone is, everyone kind of thought it looked unfinished, but that's the look of it. This school tried to do a little different. They used more of a brown tones, so it looks like a finished school. But this is a finished product. It's just more of a modern industrial look versus more of a earth tone than this campus. Every campus they try to do something a little different. But it turned out real nice. The landscaping's taken out pretty well. The principal there wanted a lot of color. She got a lot of color. And the classrooms look pretty much identical to the ones you just saw right now. That one opened up. The kids are in there. You put some pictures of the kids. You've got the computer setups. Things on the counter, a little cubicle. We have all the kids with the chairs. Teacher put up some curtains. So being used very well. Kids are excited about their new one. The library, which looks pretty much like this one, but with furniture. The librarian does a very good job working with media services, and actually work with the architect when we're doing the design of how the furniture layout was going to be laid out. Architect doesn't know. The librarian has to tell him, this is how I want to put the tables, my reading area. And, like these areas next to the windows here will be nice reading areas. And they put some tables, probably more like here in the middle. And works very well. There's another view of the library for the office area, which is similar to the area there. And the little courtyard outside, very similar to this one. The restrooms with the tile work and colorful floors. Water fountains are all finished. You've already seen these before. I just showed them one more time so you can see the kids using the building. But the next meeting, we'll take them off. And for some of you that missed the last meeting, when you didn't get the chance to visit the facility, that's what it looks like, especially for some of the newer members. This is Palm Grove. This is coming from the existing school. This was actually an addition. It's not an outside building with a connecting canopy. This is like it was originally just a canopy, and we said, no, let's enclose it so that the kids don't have to go outside, because that is one big campus building. It's not like here that you have all these wings. So this is the entry, the connecting point. And as you have the restrooms to the right with the water fountains. As you turn to the left, there's the water fountains that we talked about in the restrooms. As you turn to the left there, that's when you have your classroom. You have the tackable wall surfaces that we saw here. They're already tacking stuff on there, decorative art for the students. This one had a little different floor pattern with some numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Little kids like seeing that. The kids using the building as well. That back wall is one of those tack surfaces that they tack things on there with staples or tacks, and they can just keep reusing them. The problem about the block walls is some teachers will use glue guns, and then when they take that stuff off, they start peeling the paint off, and then they want the custodians or maintenance to come paint it. So we're going to try to do more of that wall surface. The corridors, again, with some of the student work and art. Restrooms inside with decorative tiles, and the outside hand sinks that are out in the hallway so they can be seen by the teachers. And in this building, before they did they had just started the landscape work, and it was pretty muddy earlier this week on Monday when they took this photo. Today it's a little better. That's this school that you just saw. Classrooms. this building. So the combination of the Bettis Palm Grove Egley wings for the architect was $339,000. We paid them 13 payments, $334,000. And there's what, 6,000 left, 8,000 left. Kind of hard to read. The contractor's deal was in construction, $5.7 million for the 3 wings. We paid them 5.4, so we're holding $334,000, which is pretty much your retainage. So once they get all these punch list items, we'll start releasing some of their money. The Canales wing is the one that's furthest behind. That was the last one that got started, the last one that did. And they already started. This is the same architect as this project, so you see some similarity in the architecture with the block they're using and some of the brickwork around the windows and these little window protrusions that are very similar to the ones on this building. There's a mechanical room with the air handlers, the chiller pumps, the coal and water piping systems that serve the wing. It's a pretty big wing. Again, the brickwork around the decorative window, like bay window style. The entrance to the building, the scaffolding, they're working on the brickwork. You can see some of the insulation board. Classroom is also going to have, this is what it looks like behind those tackable wall surfaces that I said it's got a metal frame behind it and the sheetrock goes on there. That's what it looks like before they put the sheetrock on. Some of that mechanical equipment still ongoing, ductwork. This wing is the same architect, Mata Villarreal Garcia, $268,000. We paid them $240,000, $27,000 for that to pay them. It's still about maybe 5 months, 6 months away from 5 months from completion. The contractor's JDS Construction, $3.6 million project. We paid them $2.1 million, a balance of $1.5 million. The roofing projects have been finished. For you with the same pictures all over again for the past 4 or 5 months. I've been showing the same pictures. But the only thing we have left pending is Hannah High School, that issue about the moisture in the roof. There was a meeting today. The manufacturer was down here. They've done some more tests on the roof. And right underneath this vinyl cover, there's ISO board. It's foam boards with insulation. And the test that, from what I understand, were done today show that the ISO board insulation system is dry. The moisture problem is still on the concrete, on the lightweight concrete underneath that sits on the deck. And after today's visit, they might have some more answers as to whether they're going to be able to warrant that roof. There was some improvement on the drying, but will the manufacturer accept it with the insulation and roof membrane dry, but not the bottom? Or are they going to say the whole system needs to be dry? That's where we come to the issue of having to tear out a section of the building all the way down to lightweight concrete, tear it out and redo it. So we'll find out more next week. We'll have a meeting with the architect and the manufacturer if they're going to warrant it the way it is. They still think there's an issue with the hot temperature on the outside. You have the air conditioning inside like here, air conditioning inside metal deck. You have a very hot roof. Start having condensation, so you're always going to have some moisture in your lightweight concrete. That's a theory anyway. They're trying to decide whether that's what's affecting the roof or not. But we should know more by our next meeting. So we're still going to hold the money until that issue gets resolved. That's also handled with the vinyl roof. Still complete. They did the inspections today for the final punch list where the manufacturer, the roof company actually comes down and inspects it to give you a warranty. It has to be installed as per their recommendations and specifications. Stell and El Jardín also, several wings got re-roofed. They're 100% complete. Just another view of some of the buildings that were re-roofed. They got that white color, the white coating for the reflective energy efficiency. The roof project with consultants, $163,000. We paid them $162, so there's only $11,000 left to pay the consultant until that Hannah issue gets resolved. The contractor is $2.5 million fee for all 4 schools. Hannah, Stell, Paul, and Harding. $2.5 million. Paid them $2.1. So we're holding $411,000 to see what's going to gonna happen with the, if there's any more work they gotta do, we got plenty of money to resolve that. Take those routes. The air conditioning projects, these have all been finished. I keep showing the same pictures over and over. I'm gonna bore you with the same pictures. Lopez, all the middle schools, elementaries, and package 3, Russell, Sharp, Skinner, Julia, and the Old Web. They're all done. There's a few little punch list items. So at the next pay draw, they'll probably draw all the retainage and just keep a little bit for any punch list items for that document that may be left. The engineer, package 3 was $210,000. We paid him 207. There was just $2,600 left. And contractor, $2.2 million. This is for phase 3. We paid him $2 million. $229 left. And again, that's a lot of that's a retainage. So the next draw, you'll see most of that money going away. The fire alarms are all 100% complete. We had made a note that they were pending ADA inspection. And later in the presentation, we'll go to change orders. I'll show you that if you want to see the report from the ADA, what he found. I have the results, and I'll share them with you. They all passed except for 2 that has 2 little minor blue tape items. So the engineer was $72,000. We paid him $71. It's only $500 left. So these are pretty much done. Metro Electric, $612,000 for package 1. We paid him $544 for $68,000. Again, that's just really the retainage, 5%. Package 2, $968,000. We paid him $891, $76,000 left. 92. Again, most of that's the retainage. And pretty much the end of the bond overview presentation on the PowerPoint. If there's no questions, we can move on to the next item.
Any questions from anybody? Okay, you want to go ahead and go into any change orders or in the contractors, change orders?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Barbosa. In going to page number 1, that's the first change order that we wanted to present to you. This is for Thomas Keller Elementary. This is one that was a very early change order, actually before they had even poured the concrete slab. But it took a while for them to, oh, I'm sorry, that's another one. This is the one that I brought to you last time that showed the 10% participation by PBK Architects. And you can see here that they've changed it to 15%. And these are 4 items, but these are the minor items. The big items with the big electrical, mechanical changes are the ones that could potentially be 80, 90, 100,000. That's what we're going to discuss with the board, with the school board next week. And we'll see what happens from that meeting. I already talked about it a little bit. But I was not approving this one. I'm not going to sign it because we need to take this to the board. There could be some potential legal consequences if things don't go the way we want them to go. So I just wanted to include this to show you where we are. They have revised it, submitted it, but we'll find out next week if we still got a ways to go on negotiating with the architect on their portion. And all that's just backup information. We go all the way to page 28. Villanueva and Hudson. This is a change order, but this is a change order to the contract. The project's 100% complete, and there was some contingency monies that were not used, left over. The original Betterment Fund still has $71,000, and then those allowances I talked about for landscaping, a utility, plumbing. Some architects like to put an allowance in different trades, and to try to control that they don't go over those amounts in those particular areas. The bottom line here is that $159,706 were not used. So we're deducting that amount from the contract. If you go down to near the bottom, $3,571,400, that was a contract amount. When you deduct the $159,706 that comes back to us, a credit, the contract amount gets changed to $3,411,693. And so that money will be left over. When the PO is liquidated, that money now needs to be, okay, where do we move that money? To which projects? And that's something that Mr. Fuller will cover in his financial report. So that's a good one. That's money coming back to us, left over from a project that we didn't use. On page 29, this is the one that I was telling you about, Keller, that we did early on, but it took us a while to get the paperwork and agree. They were kind of fighting on the prices. But these were items that we told them to do back several months ago because they had to get the foundations going. There was some underground plumbing, sinks, some multi-purpose rooms that, this one was actually a request by the principal in the previous school, Ben Bright, that there was two rooms that they were called multi-purpose rooms, but they said, yeah, but they don't have any sinks. If I want to use them for art rooms or science rooms, if it's a music room, maybe even a sink to clean instruments, but a lot of times schools don't know what they're going to use it for because it depends on staffing. Some schools will get a music teacher but not an art teacher. Some get an art teacher but not a music teacher. And others will get a science teacher, or teachers want to have a science lab to go to. And he goes, so it's going to be an issue with the next principal. So he said, you know what, it's not in there. Instead of having to go back to Ben Bright and do an expensive change order to break out things, let's do it now. So we did it before they poured, and we got that in there, $4,800. So now those two rooms will be prepared with plenty of sinks for whatever they want to use them for. Because we know it's going to happen because it happened to us at the other school. There was some slight modifications on some roof drains and storm drains, that some of the roof drains came down from the side of the building and they went under the ground and they tied into the storm lines. And when our inspector saw that, and my construction manager said, you know, at Ben Bright that happened and we want to get away from that. Because what if there's a clog in the line? And that water running off the roof is not going to run off. What's going to happen to the water? I said, I want it to come out from the building and shoot out so it lands on the dirt or on the sidewalk or on a curb, downspout, a splash guard, and then it just runs off on gravity into the drain system. And I said, I don't want to have that problem because we might have some clogs and it'll cause water to build up on the roof. So we made that change. They made the modification. It was $2,000. There was a room that was supposed to have been designated for a mop sink, but it did not have the mop sink in it. The mechanical engineer didn't draw in the mop sink. And so I said, well, we need to add it in there. If not, we're going to have to come back later and break the concrete and install it. So that was $1,200. And then in all the pods, in the restroom pods, like where you see these hand sinks that are outside near the hallway, and the toilets and urinals are inside the restroom, there's floor drains in the restroom, but on this one, there was no floor drains where the sinks were. So there's a leak in the sinks. Water's going to kind of overspill, and they're going to have to get a squeegee and push the water into the toilet room so it goes into the floor drains. It's not a code requirement, which is why the engineer says, well, we don't put them in there, it's not code, it's only required in the restroom, not in the outside sink area. So, yeah, but for our maintenance and custodial people, we prefer they be in there. So we want to add them in. So we asked for a price for the 5 pods, 3 in areas B and 2 in area C. So we got a price for $2,100 and $1,400. So overall, this was an $11,000 change order. But is this something we had to do, or they couldn't pour the slabs, or we'd have to come back in and tear them out? So that was done, and it's been processed, and the work was done. So it needs to be paid. On page 36, we have a change order for the high school. But this is one where we're getting money back. There was some additional, they're like acoustical panels, they call them ceiling baffle panels in the gym, that they had a whole bunch hanging from the ceiling. And it was decided by the architect that, you know what, maybe this is overkill, we don't need them. We have plenty of panels on the exterior walls. And it's going to look kind of odd, and it's kind of affecting the lighting system, creating some shadows. So they decided we don't need those, it's overkill, let's take them out. So we got a credit back of $25,000. And then in the staircase, the original plans had terrazzo, but the contractor with his sub, it became very complicated on how they were going to do the terrazzo all the way up. And they said, you know, this is not going to work, it's just too cumbersome, and it's not going to look right. Can we go with the tile that's on the main corridor? The tile work will be a lot easier, it'll be cleaner. And so we said, well, we get a credit back. They gave us back almost $12,000 on that one. And we went with the tile. It looks really nice. So why not save that money? So we got back $36,700. So our contingency allowance went from $421,267. We now have $457,000, almost $458,000 left in that project for other things. So that's just money coming back to us. Going to page 46. This is the change order I was telling you about the high school. To add back the construction the stadium, football stadium complex, concession and toilet facility, the big restroom facility, and a practice field, a soccer field, and a band practice marching field. All these items for $2.4 million. The original bid was close to $2.6 million. When we bid out the project, we had these things bid out as alternates. And because this one project went kind of high, quite a bit over budget, we had a meeting with superintendent and CFO, and it was decided, let's take these items out. We can do them in the future. They were trying to see other ways we could do them through either bidding it out separate or trying to work out some deal with the county. Maybe they can do some of the work in exchange for something else they wanted to work with. But nothing ever got pushed forward on how we're going to address this. So we had a meeting with the superintendent and said, look, if we don't get these things in there now, we're going to be close to school opening up. We're going to have a football field with dirt. Not going to be able to play on it. So we need to make a decision now. He says, well, let's get a price. I said, well, we already have a price when we bid it out. But the contractor gave us a $50,000 discount from their original bid. Plus they added, if you look there on page 47, $50,000 less from the original bid. Plus there was some electrical power for the baseball scoreboards that was not in the original plans. That was worth $20,000 to put in. Some electrical power for irrigation pumps and the pumps. There's some areas that have sprinkler systems where the water pressure is going to be dropping because it's too far away. They wanted to add some additional booster pumps to keep the pressures up in those far fields. So that was an additional $12,000. And electrical power for the football scoreboard and the press box. That wasn't not in the original electrical drawings. So we were going to have to do a change order through the Betterment Fund on the big high school. But they said, we'll do it as part of this change order worth $32,000. So we're getting the $50,000 discount, the $20,000, the $12,000, and the $32,000, all in the alternate on this change order for $50,000 less than the original proposal. And the original proposal did not have those three items at the bottom. So we're actually having a savings of about $120,000 with these four items, less than the original bid a year and a half ago. So Mr. Springston said, I think that's a real good deal. And the architect is not going to charge additional money for adding this to their scope. And if we bid it out, it's probably going to be more expensive because the contractor, he's there already. The mobilization cost of their construction trailers, the utilities, their monthly electrical service, their staffing, says we're not going to add that in there. So how is somebody else going to come in and beat us out? You're just going to pay more money and you're going to waste 3 months. And you're going to have to pay the architect money to do a bid package, reissue the drawings. They were going to charge an additional $68,000 for architect fees if we went out for bids. So the board felt very comfortable with this. It went Tuesday, and they said unanimously, all seven, we need to go with this so they can start it, they can have everything finished by early spring. Then we can have all the grass. We'll have time for all the grass and the football fields to do a good grass system and the roots. So by the time school opens, I have a very playable surface for the first football game. So this was approved and added on there. Mr. Fuller will touch a little bit more on this on his financial report of what effect this had on the budget. And then finally on page 50, that's just adding contract days to the architect for 9 days. There was an issue at fault that they couldn't work on the roof in one corner because of the way the electrical system came in from PUB to tie into their meter and their main panels. So we had to wait, and we finally got PUB to give us a price to redo that work. Once they finished it, then the contractor proceeded, so that caused the contractor to stop working for 9 days, so we're just giving them the 9 days back. That's really all that is. And that's pretty much it on the change orders. I'll available for answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions?
So the total package is going to be about 2.5 million, adding to the high school? It's 2.4.
Now, if you look at page 46, 2,458,100.
That should be a totally complete high school with tracks.
This is the last pending item we had in the high school. There's
Okay.
nothing else out there pending. We took care of the water issue, we took care of this, took care of the street, took care of the sewer. There's nothing else left but
Stadium.
to do the work and finish it up.
So if I could remember correctly, we had about 4 million according to Mr. Fuller. 4 million left. Using 2.5, this means we're going to be having about 1.5 million for other projects.
Yes, and he'll go over that here momentarily.
Okay, I'm anticipating. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Oscar. Good job.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Okay, we'll go into the financial summary report. Mr. Fuller?
Good evening, everybody. We're back here again. Oscar, do they have a copy of this?
I'm going to hand it out right now.
Okay. The document that Mr. Tapia is handing out is a updated copy of what we talked about last meeting about the extra funds that we're going to have from the use of the interest that's been earned from the investment of this $135 million. And Mr. Penn, your question, I believe, was last time there was about $4 million. It was about 4.4 roughly. But we are going to use $2,458 million for these projects that Mr. Tapia talked about. So that's going to drop down. You can see about $1.9 million still in excess. Okay. Now, again, these funds or this interest is just through December 2008. So since then, we still are accruing interest for the 2009 school year or fiscal year. So we will come back later on when we do our arbitrage calculation in January 2010. Okay. Also, I just want to point out the one area that we need to discuss, and that's on Proposition 3. The last time we discussed the total cost of the high school, it was at $65 million. And then, it is on here. Okay, good. The $65 million.
Yeah, you recall I'm in the middle of a bunking.
It's $67 million now, but the last time we talked about it was at $65 million. What we've done is we've incorporated the $2.4 million into the non-qualifying IFA cost column. Okay, because of the nature of what we're going to be doing this with the $2.4 million, they do not qualify for IFA funding, and that's instructional facilities allotment, which is state assistance. Okay, so we have to put them in that non-qualifying. So that basically makes our total bond cost at $147,530,000. That's what we'll be totally spending as to date for the projects that we have. Now, as we complete these projects and we start getting some of these contingency funds back into it, that total project cost will come down. But again, right now, we are completely encumbering all the projects as they are from the beginning. Oscar, you want me to go further, or you want to go with the application?
Yes, I'm handing out a copy of the application that we actually submitted to TEA to see if we were going to be awarded this grant of this application. And something that I wanted to stress, and I was going to talk about it last week, but I didn't want to misquote the numbers, and I wanted Tony to verify, see the money map, is that we've been keep talking about the $135 million bond program since day one. But something that we haven't really focused on is that the $135 million is the grant. And that's what the whole bond issue is as far as the, was it 30-year program? Where the state's gonna pay 75% of the bond payments, and the BISD is 25%. That's the whole purpose of this whole bond thing. But that's what, the bond program is only for qualified costs. That's only what qualifies. Athletics and other things that are listed there on the right-hand column that are non-qualified. We had budgeted that, this is 3 years old, from 2006 when we were trying to secure these monies. There was $17 million that did not qualify that we knew, well, we need to use local monies. This has nothing to do with the bond of the 135. This is strictly money we got to get out of our pocket and pitch in now. It's not going to be something that's going to be paid over the 30 years. So when you add the bond program 135 to our local in-kind or contribution of 17, money we need to come up with to pay for the non-qualifieds, if you add those two there on the left, our total budget is $152 million. And I want to make sure people don't understand it. It's just not a $135 million budget we had. That's just the bond program with TEA. With the money we had to pitch in, we projected $152 million since 3 years ago as part of the application with TEA. These monies are, this is what we submitted. These are fixed numbers with the state. So the $152 million, which was our original budget, qualified and non-qualified, that's what Tony wants to emphasize there in that very first column. That's where he got the 152. But the next column, the 135, that's the bond proposition. So when you look at the total project costs on column F, the very top of the F come down, we were at 145 something, and with the change order for the high school, we're now 147,530,000 of expenditures, actual encumbered POs, things that have been bid out. That's for both qualified and non-qualified. That's how much we spent on this whole thing. So if you go compare that to our original budget of 152, we're $5 million under our original planned budget of both qualified and unqualified.
Under.
We're under. With 135 qualified, which is the 30-year bond program that the voters the community voted on, plus the BISD contribution that we had to come up with money for our project to pay for the non-qualified. So I've heard some comments of people saying, "Oh, you guys went way over the budget of the bond." Well, no, we didn't. I said I better emphasize that at the next bond program, that when you have the qualified and non-qualified, our $152 million budget, which is right here with our application. Right now, our expenditures total $147 million. So we were pretty good about projecting that money, that budget number 3 years ago, and we're $5 million under it. So I think that's what we need to emphasize to the community, to everyone here, and to anyone listening to this program, that I think that the district overall has done a very good job of staying under that original $152 million budget. But to understand that the bond program was just the 135 with the state. And of that 135, the state's paying 75% of our bond payments.
That's true.
So I hope that clarifies some of the questions that some people have been talking about here recently.
So basically what we're saying here is the non-qualified cost of 17 million, and being that we're 5 under, so we're actually 12 million is what we're going to be using of unqualified money.
That's correct. So we didn't have to throw in the 17 that we projected,
Right.
only 12 that we had to come out of our pocket. And Mr. Fuller has done a good job of explaining where we're going to get that money. Most of it's coming from interest from
It's the interest that's been earned on this investment.
not only this bond program, but the previous bond program,
Right.
without dipping into our pockets, into our fund balance. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You all have done, let me add, you all have done an excellent job, Oscar, you and Mr. Fullers and the school district as well, especially in the construction. I know we passed $135 million on bond money, and the other one, the 17, which is it's gonna come a total of 152, and it's a total of 147. So that's under 5 million. So I think that's a lot of money. And not only that, we have injected to the community as well for the last 2 years, so we're gonna continue in another 6 more months. That should be helping out the economy in the Brownsville area as well. Like I said, good job.
So,
I also want to emphasize that part of this TA application, we're going to be audited in the future. What they want to do is, once you bid all your projects and you have your final numbers, we're supposed to turn in an amendment. Because if you look at all the numbers in this application, these were all things that I just, thought, what is this going to cost? These were budgets. These were not hard numbers. Now that we have the hard numbers, I have to come in here and actually put the true numbers of what they cost. And then I have to send this amendment to the state. So when they come audit, they're going to look at the contracts, if they match the application, what was awarded to contractors, testing companies, how much we paid for land, the architect fees. And the last 2 bond programs that we did audited, we didn't have any findings that passed.
By when do you have to
basically, I
submit?
think what we're saying here, Mr. Fuller, is that for the high schools, for the junior high, and for the elementary schools that we've done, it's only cost the taxpayers $12 million. In reality, we've spent over 150.
No, basically, let me kind of clarify that. It didn't cost the taxpayers. What we did is the interest that was earned on the $135 million, that's where the 12 million is coming from.
No, but that's what I'm saying. In other words, the school district has actually spent $12 million
Correct, yes, sir.
for all that we have received from all these monies
Yes,
that we got in return as an investment. We're talking about a new high school, a new junior high, and 4, or basically 3 new elementaries. That we're really looking at 12 million, which is really peanuts for the quality that we have received.
yes.
So I
And
think that's
And again,
very
there's
good
two,
to the taxpayer.
there's 2 varying factors here. One is on column F, that's our costs as we have today totally encumbered. As the project's complete and there's contingency funds that are available, those project costs are going to go down. And those funds will be available to transfer where we need them. They'll be available. Also, again, the interest of $11 million I'm using here is just through December of 2008. So we still have, from January 2009 to current, or till we expend all the funds of the interest that's accruing there. So we'll have more than $2 million available when this is all said and done.
But are the taxpayers not settled with that bond debt?
The debt's on the other side. This is the construction side. Now, the debt on the other side, our annual requirement is, total annual requirement is about $16 million a year. The state is, because of our IFA and EDA qualifications, we're only paying about 25 cents or 25% of that $16 million. We have to locally come up on our debt service side with about $4.4 million, which is about 10 pennies for debt. And we just passed our tax rate a couple days ago, and we're staying at the same tax rate. So our tax rate is still the same, staying the same.
I'd also like to point out that if you look at the application here, this is project 1 was a high school, 60 million for qualified and non-qualified. And if you look at Mr. Fuller's report, Proposition 3, which is a high school, all the way to total project cost, 67 million. So we went about $7 million more than what we planned. But if you look at the next page, Project 2, the middle school, total qualified and non-qualified, we had estimated 28 million and a half. Look at how much we've actually spent, Proposition 2, 21.6. So we're almost $7 million there. Right there, the high school and the middle school offset each other. That's what kept us, although everyone's making a big deal about the high school, we're so much over. Yeah, but the other ones were way under. So we're still way under budget, $5 million under budget overall. So I think that's what the message that needs to be sent. And I think we should give credit also to Mr. Powers, who was on the board at the time when they voted for this. They supported this bond issue. They worked with the superintendent. They saw the applications. They knew what went to the state. They jumped on it, and thanks to our board at that time, this was a very, very good thing that was done and for our community. So again, thanks to Mr. Powers for serving on the board and making this a reality.
Yes.
Being a former board member, when we pushed in '97, the first 100 million, and then 135 million, I know one thing about our finance department, the CFOs, and Mr. Fuller's been in the department a long time. We have been very frugal with our money. We watch it like a hawk. And every time we went to the bond rating in New York, they would compliment us. How does BISD keep so much money in our local funds? Because we're very frugal. You saw a recent report about districts overpaid on administration costs. Well, BISD is not. We're below 7%. And TA says it should be about 11. But we're at 7. So we just don't open up departments and give people jobs. We are very frugal in everything we do. And I always have, the last 10 years, we've gotten the highest ratings in all our audits from a financial standpoint and a bond standpoint of TA. So I compliment you guys. And I've always said that. Y'all do a great job watching our pennies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me echo Mr. Tapia as well. On the bond 136, the state is paying 75% and we're paying 25%.
Right.
Okay, so the community can know, Oscar, I know there's 135 million, that's a lot of money that goes back into the economy, but the bottom line, the state is paying 75% and Brownsville school district is paying 25%.
That's correct.
Which is how many millions?
Mr. Fuller, 25% out of 135, roughly?
What's that, about 135, about 30 million maybe?
30 million, give and take. So that's how much is coming out. Excellent. That's excellent for this community as well, or for the Brownsville School District.
Okay, any other questions on the IFA application or the other form where the funds, excess funds will be coming from?
Oscar, when are you going to be submitting to the TEA these applications?
Now that we have this final change order, that's what I was waiting for, because we just wanted to do a one-time thing, because now
Okay.
that was the last piece of the puzzle. We know all the costs now, and we'll just send them one amendment instead of doing 3, 4 amendments and have to change it again because we don't know certain things that are going to be bid up. I would say within the next 2 weeks we'll send it off to TEA.
Excellent.
And when is the audit, you know?
The audit will be done once the whole project's done 100% complete. The high school, the middle school will be the last 2 projects, and they come around 6, 8, 10 months after that. So 'cause it's the whole district, the whole state, and they only have like 2, 3 people in the whole state to audit. So but they'll be coming around.
And the last time we did have an audit with our last bond issue with the IFA, because we did qualify, we came out with no problems at all.
No
from the
findings.
states.
Very good.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started on the regular report now. Again, it's the same format as before. We'll talk first about Committee Fulham. Again, this is just the elementary school for Committee Fulham. Now, I know when Oscar presents, or Mr. Tapia presents his, he groups them together like Keller and the other, Keller and Manzano together. So I'm going to separate them because this is the way we keep our accounting system totally separate. One project is different from the other project. We don't commingle any of the funds. And it's easier to account for. In this case, basically, there's been nothing, no major changes. We had a few payments to the contractor. We had payment number 15 for $429,000. Other than that, we still have balances left over. And again, we're doing that by design, just in case something does come up later on. But again, because Fulham is basically done, that $300,000 that you see at the very bottom right-hand side, that can be probably moved over to either the high school or any other type of project that we see we can do with the excess funds. Again, right now, this is just totally what's been encumbered and paid. And again, once we do pay the contractor off, there are some contingency funds in there. Whatever funds are available, they'll be available at that point, and again, we can move those elsewhere. But again, those are contingency funds when we do the final payment. On the next one is Thomas Keller Elementary School. Again, same format. We had a payment for the architect and a payment for the contractor. Again, we do have $211,000 still available in that project. When this is complete, that $211,000 can be moved elsewhere into another project. And again, the same thing with the contractor. If there's any types of contingency funds that do become available when it's complete, those funds can also be transferred. On the next page, the middle school, Manzano Middle School, $251,000 available as of today. And we had 2 payments, PBK Architects and Scoggins Contractor. Now you do see that we do have a negative number there because that's what we have at the bottom. We have a offsetting one because we know there's going to be costs that do not qualify for IFA. So once we know those costs are final and solid, we'll move them down to the bottom of the column. Next one is the high school. This is a large one, and this is, now, this total down here at the bottom, the $65 million, I had already submitted this form to Mr. Tapia and his staff to put on this presentation, and then him and I got together and finalized that form we talked about earlier. But if you add the $65 million and the 2.4 for the change order, that's that $67 million we were talking about earlier. Again, we had 2 payments, one for architect and the D. Wilson contractor. Other than that, we do have a couple areas up here. We did have some payments. I believe those are for the infrastructure, the top one. But again, when we bring in those funds from the interest that's been accrued, that'll take care of those 2 issues there. So again, I am aware of that, but we'll be coming to the board with the budget amendment probably the 15th. We did discuss with the board on, I believe it was August the 18th, exactly what we presented here last August the 4th, I believe it was, or 6th. Same presentation. Mr. Barbosa did get up and speak about it, but we did present to them. Went over the presentation with the board. They seemed satisfied and basically gave it the nod to go ahead with the interest. We're in the final stages of working with bond counsel, which is Fulbright, Jaworski and Fulbright, on the language that we need to take to the board for the resolution. Basically, we want to make sure we have all our ducks in a row when we go with the board. And that's the high school.
Question,
Yes, sir.
how many acres did we buy there?
80. At the high school, it's 80 acres.
88, figured how much an acre?
15,000.
Okay, how about the Manzano Keller, how many acres?
47.6 acres.
Average cost?
Those were with all infrastructures and everything came out to like, let's say, 58,000.
58,000 an acre?
Along with this, Mr. Tapia,
Yeah.
could we maybe,
Well, 1.1 million divided by 40, no, maybe I overestimated that.
Because,
$1 million?
you were on the board at that time, and there were several people that complained about that transaction. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Powers, at the flipping of that particular property.
Well, on that property, we did do an appraisal. And it did come in within, around that, on that project, we did do an appraisal on the land, the one we purchased. And it came in within that ballpark figure. So a lot of people thought we overpaid for it. But you'll be amazed how many letters we're getting that we're trying to sell this land for $75,000 an acre, $80,000 an acre, $60,000 an acre, because they knew we were in the market for it. But we did an appraisal on it, and it did come in within a ballpark figure.
In fact, sometime this past week, they brought it up to my attention that the previous owners had already locked it with the person that sold us the property, and there was a big amount of profit on that land.
Yeah, we heard all the rumors you can think of. We had from legal look at everything. I know Mr. Tapia and the administration brought it to the board for purchase, and you trust administration at the time, so we did the appraisal just to verify because of what was going on. And it came back almost, and I still got the appraisal in my office. If you want to look at it. So that's where we stand on that one.
Mr. Tapia and Mr. Fuller, do you think maybe for next month, what I would like to see is On Proposition 1, the Maple Elementary School, Thomas Keller. And then Proposition 2, Edward Manzano Middle School. And then Proposition 3, Veteran Memorial High School. How many acres were purchased for each one? How much was each acre? And I would like to know who we bought the properties from, because I think the community would like to know all that information.
Okay, on the very first or second bond meeting that we
But if
had,
we could have it maybe next month as a presentation, because I know I've been asking, I really don't have
Right.
the slightest idea how many acres.
yeah,
or
when this
how
bond
much
committee
per
was first
acre.
created, that was all presented to the bond committee, but I know we've had some new members, so we'll bring it back, and so that those that never heard that can, but doing a quick number on the $2 million for both properties divided by 40, so it came out to about $43,000 an acre for the Midi-Pullum Keller, the Keller Manzano property, about 43 an acre, 43,000
Right.
Per acre.
per acre. Right. It was all discussed with the board, the bond committee, it was televised, everybody knew the prices of the properties back then. But we can certainly go over it again, especially because we have some new members that were not here when all that was presented.
And all the properties they were buying, an appraisal was done?
We did an appraisal,
An appraisal.
yes. Yeah. I can give you copies of that, too.
Could we have that next month?
Sure.
Thank you.
So, to recap what Mr. Barbosa said about that we had only paid $12 million, from all these projects we've been doing, the high school and the middle school and the elementary schools. But then again, that's on top of the 25%, which is nearly $30 million. So the 12 and the 30 minutes, it's about $42 million that we spent, because 75% was spent by the state, by the bond money. We're paying 25 cents to the dollar.
Correct.
And Mr. Barbosa said that we had only spent 12 million from all these projects, all these schools that we've been building lately. But that's in addition to the 25% of the bond money, which we're responsible for, which is about $42 million. That's about $30 million. Adding them together will be $42 million. Is that correct? Just to put it in perspective for the public to know that how much we're actually spending on all these projects.
To
The
date,
25% plus the 12 million that came from other parts of the budget. Is that correct, Mr. Fuller?
okay, basically, if we go back to this first page, right now, our total cost for these projects are $147.5 million.
Right.
And that's on column F. Okay, we went out and sold bonds for $135 million. The remaining 12 are coming from the interest that's been earned on the $135 million investment instrument. So that's where the other $12 million is coming from. That is adding to the $135 million. On the debt service side, which is the payment side,
Right.
You're probably looking at a total of, I think you had that, Oscar, what's the 25% of 135? I think you had that number. Came out to 32 million, I believe it was.
I don't have it.
On the debt side, we may be paying $32 million over a 22 or 23-year period
Yeah.
on these bonds.
Right.
The $12 million is what when we invested the $135 million in a flex repo agreement, we were getting approximately 4.75%. Now again, there is an arbitrage, and our rate was 4.17%. So anything over that 4.17, we had to pay to the IRS. So we were basically making a little over 4% on $135 million. Since the inception of this investment instrument, we've made through December 2008 approximately $13 million, 13.2. We set aside $2.2 million for our liability to the IRS for the interest that was earned above what's allowable. So we can use about $11 million to go back into the project. So instead of hitting the taxpayers, knowing what we knew 3 years ago on the application, for the IFIE application, We knew we were going to spend $152 million. We knew that $17 million was going to have to come from somewhere, not the bond issue because that was 135. So we knew it's either going to have to come from our local funds or interest that's being earned on 135,000 or $135 million. So the taxpayer is really only paying the initial $135 million debt.
In addition to the 25%.
Well, just the 25%. That's all there. We are taxing the taxpayer approximately 10 cents for our debt service rate to service and pay for our debt.
So that's what I wanted to get a final bottom line as to what our actual costs were to the taxpayer.
It's 34 million is the 25% that we're going to pay over in the bond program over the 30 years. Plus, out of local money right now, probably around 12 million. But that's not paid over a 30-year period with interest. Only the 34 million or 25% is.
The local's not paying anything. Right now,
Well,
local is not picking
the
up.
money from the interest is
Right.
what making
Money
up
from the
for the
interest.
non-qualified.
Is being used instead of local funds.
But eventually, it'll come out of the taxpayers' money, right?
No, sir. No, because we've already set up our debt schedule of 10 cents for our debt rate.
Okay.
That's set. This $12 million is nothing more than interest that's been earned on the $135 million investment.
But eventually, if we borrowed money, it's got to be paid, no?
Yes, sir, and that's why we've already, for the last 2 years, we've already set our debt rate at 10 cents. Well, actually, we set our debt rate at 8 pennies because we shifted 2 pennies from our debt rate to our local maintenance side and to basically maximize our state
But it's kind
revenue.
of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right?
Well,
Yes.
I don't know, I can't answer that because I don't know what that, I know what it means, but what I'm trying to say is
No,
the
I
$12 million.
think what it is how you want to look at it.
Well, the $12 million
It's very
is
simple, is how you want to look at it. I mean, if you want to say that it's the taxpayer's money, yes, it is the taxpayer's money. It's interest money that we're using, the interest that it was earned, it is money that it was earned.
Yes,
But in the long run, the money that's the interest would eventually, in the long run, would have been taxpayers' money. But in this case, we're using those $12 million from interest that the money was not used at that particular time.
correct.
It's just like you wanted to go pay a utility bill and you take it from the interest that you earned at your savings account. It's still paying the savings account, but you're paying from the interest that you earned. You're not paying it from the money that you have in the bank originally. Originally, you're gonna spend the money yourself, yes, you are. You know, and that's the way to look at it. But we could go in circles all night long to looking at, was it taxpayers' money, is it the left hand, was it the right hand? It's the same thing. It is taxpayers' money.
It's all
You
taxpayers'
know, no
money.
matter how we look at it, it is tax money. But it's money that we did not have. If we hadn't saved it and spent it earlier in our lives, we wouldn't have this 11 million. But since we saved it and didn't use it, now we're going to put it into good cause.
Correct.
And trying to use it with the money that we have to be able to provide more schools and better schools for our kids.
Knowing we were going to go above $135 million, we invest this money to
This is
pay for
understandable,
things.
excuse me, this is understandable. But we've already spent the 150-something million, and there will be no more interest on that money coming in. Am I right?
Once the funds are expended, yes, there will be no more interest.
So basically, the 12 million or how many million we've made interest, that's as much as we're going to get. So now the rest is, well, we have to be that 25% or something like that. This is the money that we're going to have to be spent.
Without state assistance, our debt rate would be about 40 cents. Now, because of our property value per student and a couple other calculations, we
I do
qualify.
not want to mislead the public that's listening to this conversation that it's all money-making type deals, because there's be no more interest. The interest is what you got, the 12 million, and the other, the investment that we've made is already spent. That money's already spent. So there's been no more interest made on this bond. Am I correct?
Let me-
Mr. Powers, go ahead and I'll respond.
I'll put it in a nutshell, guys. Everything, the adoption of the budget is predicated based on the tax rate. BISD not had a tax rate increase in I don't know how many years, 3 years, same rate. That tells you how frugal we are. We're not, BISD not said, hey, we need 2 cents to help pay the debt. We need to put 2 cents in the IAS money, interest and sinking fund, or we need to put 2 cents in M&O. So that gives you a good indication how strong of a foundation we have when they don't come to the tax rate. You know what? We shortchange it. We need to go up from $1.09 to $1.11 or $1.13. And that's what you got to look at. And when we did the $135 million bond, we knew that that money was going to be paid off in a 22 to 23-year period. So that's already pre-calculated in our adoption of the budget when we started selling the bond out there. See, what you got to worry about is if your local funds are not getting enough money in, you got to dip into your local every time. And this was, once we finish the school, it's a one-time cost, guys. There's no other cost. That's it. See, so that's the way I look at it. So I think by not raising the tax rates the last 3 years, it gives you a good indication of how strong financially we are. Thank you.
Mr. Fuller, on the last final sheet on your financial summary, we still have about $8.7 million that we haven't paid on this bond program. On the financial page 61.
Yeah. Hold on, they're getting it done.
Still about $8.7 million we haven't paid, right? That money's in the bank right now?
Yes.
So we're still making some interest.
Yes.
We'll continue to make more interest until the high school and middle school's paid all the way till next.
Right
summer.
now, we have about $40 million in investment for this bond
We're still
program.
gonna make more interest in the next 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. Every month it gets less and less, but we're still making interest. So that 12 million would go up to 13 million. That we've made.
Yeah, they say, he's telling me that no increase in tax rate, but by God, you go to the appraisal district and your valuation of those properties gone up, and the taxpayers are still paying, my friend. Unfortunately, that's a sad situation, and it's happening all over the county.
Well, last year didn't go up. My properties. Everything got a standstill right now.
Okay, you have anything else, Mr. Fuller?
No, unless there's questions on this report.
All right, thank you very much. Very good report.
Now, Dr. Gully, you wanted to see what, you requested acres by elementary or project?
I'd like to know, well, for the Proposition 1, Proposition 2, and Proposition 3, how
Number of
many
acres.
acres with purchase
Yes.
for each? How much per acre? And who did the school district buy the properties from, please?
We'll get with Mr. Tapia and we'll get that information.
Mr. Fuller, one more question, the last question. Rough estimate, I know you mentioned, once again, going back to the same questions, where we're supposed to have about 4 million, we're gonna invest about 2.4 to the high school, which will be having about 2 millions, plus other interests in which they're gonna be occurring the next 6 months. Now, my concern is the canopy, guys, for the elementaries. I know we're going to be having 2 million plus. I know some of the kids that get wet. That's Oscar. I know I brought it up, and I hate to repeat it. I hate to, but the kids are going to get wet. My canopies will at least to have something for the buses. So I want you just to take that in consideration, okay?
Yeah, once
So
all
it's
this-
about 2 million rough give and take, and by the time it ends, I'm estimating about 2.5, 2,500,000, some places are estimating. This is only an estimate.
It could be a little bit more because, again, it all depends on the final completion of the projects and the contingency funds that are available. So it could go on.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go into any old business that we may have.
The committee asked me last time to have the attendance sheet, which I passed out, just to see if any members have missed more than 3 meetings in a row. And your bylaws state that anyone missing 3 or more, the chairman is supposed to call them and tell them, hey, are you going to be showing up or not? Do you have an interest in serving? If not, we can make a recommendation to the board to have anybody replaced. So this is the attendance sheet.
The greens are current people?
The green and yellows are the current check mark them, and they were absent that meeting.
The yellow ones are the ones that are here?
Yeah. There's one oversight there, JP Villarreal should be colored in. It's just that he was taken off, and then another board member put him right back on. So-
Line number 6 on there.
Oh, no, that's correct then. 16, that's when he was taken off, but then the other person put him back up on number 6. He was on and off. So that's correct.
Okay, so only, we have, number 3. Pat Lane's missed 3. Or 4.
Well, one was a canceled meeting, canceled swine food.
What with today?
And then, Rebecca?
Oh, today, if you count today, that's before.
Yeah.
And also Rebecca Bowles. Missed 4 in a row. Oh, 6 in a row.
6.
Hector Hernandez here today? Hector Hernandez here today, today would make 3 in a row. Mr. Chairman, Co-Chair, you might want to contact these members and see if they still want to serve.
Because it's only, so then there's only those 3.
Right.
Okay, do we just contact the individual, the person that appointed them? Or does the superintendent?
I have to see a copy of the bylaws, are there, Lily?
I think is that we need to tell the superintendent of these people, and then the superintendent tells the individual board member.
Can you bring me a copy of the bylaws, please? Nothing, hand it over.
I have them here also.
I think this committee has to vote on something. I'm trying to remember something, make sure we do it correctly.
Huh?
Article 6, Section 1. What does it say?
After 3 consecutive absences, the chair shall bring the name to the membership for removal. In the event of such determination, the chairperson shall immediately notify the superintendent, who shall then take steps as outlined above to fill such vacancy.
So we have to vote on these 3 individuals?
It didn't say that, it just says, after 3 consecutive absences, the chair shall bring the name to the membership for removal. Yeah, to this group for removal, and if you vote on it, then you can approach superintendent to advise the board members that appointed up to appoint someone else.
Oscar, have they called, have they communicated by,
The only one that had called me was Rebecca Bowsman. She said she was gonna miss all summer because she has her kids and it's real hard for her, but that she would start coming once the school year started. Well, this is the school year, we're in September, and she still didn't show up. I did talk to her today, and she said that, I can't make it because something with her son, but I'll try to make it next month. That's 6 meetings in a row, so it's really up to this group to vote on whether you want to recommend replacing her or not.
Well, you got the 3 names, I'll entertain a motion if somebody wants to make a motion that I notify the superintendent. Does that mean you're making a motion?
I make a motion to bring them up and remove the 3 men.
There's a motion and a second that we bring the names to the superintendent for purpose of removal. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. I will notify the superintendent tomorrow. Any other old business? Any new business? Oscar, the school board meeting is when?
School board, the facilities committee meeting is next Tuesday.
Yeah, but I mean, we have to make a report to,
Oh, you have to get on the, well, I don't think this requires an agenda item, it's just the superintendent will notify the board members to replace these individuals.
no, I'm talking about when we report to the school board.
Oh, it'll be September 18th.
September?
The third Tuesday. It's in the 15th, I think. September the 15th.
We just had one.
September 15th.
Oh, the 15th.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make that report to the school board. And our next meeting is going to be October the 1st.
That's what it falls on, yes.
That's what it falls on. And I'll be out of town, so Julian, if you don't mind chairing the meeting for that October the 1st, to be able to. I won't be back till October, November, so if we have to report, just make sure that we do report to the school board on the meeting. Okay? We'll go into, public comments. Being no public comments. Mr. Gallegos? Okay, somebody make a motion for adjournment. There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. Thank you very much for being here.